Hey, it's Chris Zukowski here. Actually, tiny Chris Zukowski here with how to market a game. Well, you just look up here. Look at that. Howtomarketagame.com. I'm doing something special today. I'm going to show you the best games that have sold the most since the beginning of the year. Now, I do this every year. I'm going to go through every single one that has sold 1,000 reviews worth, that have earned 1,000 reviews, which probably means they're selling when a lot of people are playing these games. It's what I do every year, and I break it up into chunks. Now, you're going to go live. I've never done this before. We're going to go live through the games. And if you haven't seen it yet, this is my website, howtomarketagame.com. Join the mailing list. You get a free book. I'm going to look over here. This is my book. You just get it for free, howtomarketagame.com. Just put in your email address, and that's how you see it. So let's go through it. So this is what I do every year. Let me just give you a little preview. This is every single game. I pulled this data from VG Insights, recently acquired by Sensor Tower. Every game that has sold or that has earned 1,000 reviews or more, and there were 90, 60. What? How many is? Well, there were like 90, but I filter them because I took out the porn games. Because not that there's anything wrong with porn games, some of them there is something wrong with them, but this is a family channel. I might say I wouldn't want to show it. I don't know if I'd get demonetized or something. I don't even care. I don't care. YouTube sucks. But anyway, so I'm just not going to show them. And I also took games that are Chinese only, or like Russian only, or one country only, because the reason I'm doing this is I'm trying to help you identify what types of games are actually selling on Steam. Okay, and so those games are very region specific. I might look at one. I think I saw a couple that I didn't pull out, but it might be fun to look at anyway, just see what's going on. Because I think if you try and make that game in the U.S. or for a Western market, sorry, I just bumped that. It's just not going to work because it's a different cultural thing, and so that's why I took them out. So here's all the games. I'm going to go. Every year it takes me about 16 hours to get through all the games. I'm going to see how many I can get done in 1 hour. We're going to do this. I set the timer on my phone for 1 hour. So we're going to do this. I pulled up the first 10. These are games that sold well. So the first one is Puck. Okay, and what I try and do, and what we're going to do live, is we're going to identify the genre and any other special things about it. So, Puck, sports game, genre is sports, specifically that. I'm also looking for co-op, PvP. Is it local co-op? Can we do local co-op? I'm just looking at this. Let's see how it goes. Online PvP, single player, in-app purchase. Does not look like local. So here's what I do. Okay, so I go back to my spreadsheet here, and I keep track. So I have this special tab set up. So I do genre, and then everything defaults to puzzle because there's so many puzzle games, but not at the top. So puzzle, it's sports. I call that sports. Illustrated, I call this low poly. Now, these are all my opinions on what these are. Okay, co-op, no, it doesn't look like co-op locally. It's PvP. Demo live, is there demo live? I didn't see that actually. Demo live, no demo. Dumb. Okay, no demo live. Whoops, I gave you a little preview of the next one. Okay, so no pro. I'm just curious about marketing wise. And the reason I do this, I'm going to give you the preview. So I'm trying to get through as many as we can. There's that. I'm going to close this one. So the reason I'm doing this is, people focus too much on the number one game. You're not going to be the number one game on Steam. Your better thing is to focus on being overall within the top genres. As long as you can get above 1,000 reviews, you've kind of made it. Now, I know it depends on how much you've spent on your game and whether the game's free or paid or whatnot. But the most important thing is once you get over 1,000 reviews, typically, Valve gives you more tools so that you can continue to market your game. People ask me, I've launched and I only got like 10 reviews. How do I market it now? And it's like, your game's kind of cooked, dude. There aren't many tools available to you. Valve prioritizes the big promotional things like daily deals and weekend deals and cross promos and featuring down in these sections down here where it's like, more like this. The more like this section, this stuff only comes to you. Like the games in there have earned over 1,000 reviews. So the real promotion happens after you hit those big spikes of traffic and lots of sales. And if you didn't sell well at the beginning, I'm sorry, you're out. There's nothing you can do. There's really little you can do. Okay, so by looking at these games, we can kind of see the games that sell well. Now, these are games that have launched in 2025, January, all the way through March. That's the first quarter through the end of March. It's 1st of April. We're in the second quarter. So, by year quarter, I'm not talking financial quarters. Because I can never remember what the financial quarter is. So, let's see here. Now, let's see and then what I do is I compile all this data, and then I can kind of say, oh, these games are selling very well. All right. Now, a lot of these games, let's see, I try and identify the genre as fast as I can. Photographer enters the Great Pyramids. First, I look at this. It's horror. I'm pretty sure this is horror because look at that. It says horror is the first tag. You got a scary monster screaming in your face, dead giveaway, and I just double check just to make sure. Okay, Ancient Tomb, yeah. So this is a horror game. I'm 99% sure. Horror, yeah. Everything's telling horror to me, and it's linking towards all these other games and Subnautica for some reason. Single player, family sharing. Okay, so it's not co-op. Whoops. Let's preview the next one. Okay, so what we're gonna do is horror. So type horror. I've tagged all the common genres and grimdark is what I call it because it's just like scary dark. Okay, click mage. So that's the next one. So we got that one done. Again, I'm trying to get through these as fast as possible. Click mage. I looked at this unique 2D resource gather. It's an idle clicker. See the clicker, and it's cool. It's pixel art. So what I do, this one, we're going to keep it moving, folks. I got a lot of games. I got over 90 games because once I filtered it down, it's about 60. When I took out the porn, took out the foreign, China, Russia, one country only, that's all it is. So idle, pixel art. Okay. I also like to look at these just to see some of the other features. Let's just see. Let me see. Is the demo still up? No demo. Let's see what else we got. Let's see here. No co-op, obviously. I mean, how would you do co-op idle? Maybe a free, cool thing. So no co-op. I forgot to do this for that horror game, so we're going to do that. Okay, bunch of notes. Hang on. I know there's a dark spot on my screen. That's because the green screen has a little clip. And that green screen clip went somewhere. There's a gold mic right there. Okay, so that is that. Now, let's continue on our adventure. Now, the reason I do this is, again, people are always focused on the number one game. That you're not going to be the number one game. That's almost by luck you get there. What I like to do is look at the games. Some of these games you have never heard of. Nobody's talking about them online, all that stuff. No. Okay, so obviously UI game, kind of anime style. Let's see. I think visual novel. Okay, immersive sim. People say immersive sim. They don't know what immersive sim means anymore. They just mean that means it's like simulated. It got covered by Storyteller, so this is clearly visual novel. So what I do is visual novel. I think I call narrative. I call it narrative. Narrative is my genre, my umbrella genre for all kind of like gameplay is not as important as a good story. And so this lumps in visual novel, but also like a walking simulator. I would consider that narrative focused. And I know you could have an RPG that's narrative focused, but I have a whole separate category for that. And UI, this, I call it, whoops, if you type this slightly different, my tags. So, user interface is my tag. I could call this anime. Again, I'm picking one and one only. I could see the argument for anime, and you could make a good argument for that. See that anime capsule art. But the whole interaction style, I think, is the star of the show. See how they have all this like screen thing? This is a very popular subgenre where both idlers and horror games and these visual novel type games, they use a user interface as the way you kind of see the world. I think that's the more dominant thing, not that anime aspect of it. So that's why I see there is definitely anime there, but I'm going to go with user interface. And this goes to the thing, folks. I'm going to be making some judgments here. You might not agree with them. And in the comments, you'll be like, well, Chris, that game's actually this genre. It's not that genre. You know what? You're right. You are 100% right. I am wrong. But that's what I'm trying to do. It's just, this is my opinion. This is what I think based on my experience. I'm going to have to do some 50-50 choices, and I'm going to have to pick one. I'm kind of doing this just so you're transparent. So it's transparent, like when I do these reports, because this is going to go up on my website, of what these genres are. Okay? So let's go. This is Heroes of Hammerwatch 2. This is the next one. Okay, roguelike, action RPG. These are hard to genreify. Extensive persistent action, build your town, upgrade and equip your heroes. First tag is RPG, action RPG. I'm thinking, based on those tags, RPG, action RPG, I'm going to go with RPG. Not necessarily, I know it's got roguelike elements, but roguelike is basically becoming a structure and not a genre. And I like to look at reviews in these cases, 30 hours, 2 classes. I like to see what the fans are saying. Are they mostly saying RPG or roguelike? Great roguelike action RPG. Way to go, game night. I'm going with RPG. I'm gonna pick it. I'm gonna pick RPG. I think. Roguelike. Everybody's saying roguelike ARPG, roguelike fan, but hey, by any means, I'm just reading reviews to see. You know what? I think I'm gonna go with roguelike. I think I'm going to go with roguelike because it's sounding repetitive. In other words, like you die, repeat, that's the main thing. Whereas an RPG, very linear, you own the class, and there's a lot more narrative. I'm going to go Cult of, see how this person called out Cult of the Lamb? See this person right here? Said, oh, it's Cult of the Lamb. Okay, that had me sold. I'm going to go with roguelike. And here's the thing. Anytime it gets to roguelike, people are like, oh, hey, you know what? I'm trying my best here, okay? So we're gonna go. Whoops, I forgot to do my things here. These are both this horror one. Oh, you know what I did? I know, probably somebody commented. Just here's the thing, folks. Before you comment, I'm just gonna give you a warning. Here's a Hammer Watch House pixel art. Here's the thing. I'm going to make mistakes, and I will fix them. So don't comment before you've watched the whole video and say, "Oh, Chris, you messed up on this thing." I know. This is recorded, so if you're commenting, I've already made the change. So just lay off. Give me a break. Okay, we're gonna go with rogue. Action. See, here's the trick. I'm gonna go with roguelike. I know people call it ARPG, but action roguelike is what I reserve for Vampire Survivor likes, and this was not a Vampire Survivor likes. It's just a roguelikes. Okay, so then we have Hyperlight Breaker, and this Hyperlight Breaker, I kind of already know this game, so let's go on. Hyperlight Breaker. I'm going with action RPG, action adventure. Let's see how much RPG elements. I haven't played this one. I played the first game, the 2D version. It's 3D. Let's see how the fans are reacting. Are they calling it RPG a lot? Jump in, jump out, quick fun. I'm thinking action. Hey, there's Graham. I know my friend Graham right there. This is a real account. I'm really going off my main account. Buggy. Yeah, of course. I'm just going, I think I have an adventure tag. And adventure games are what I call going around games. You're just like a dude with a sword, this classic dude with a sword going on an adventure. That's action adventure. And I know it's a very generic term. Like they've got both action and adventure. I saw somebody make that joke. Yeah, let's see. But I think I think I have in my genre tags adventure. And it's not point and click adventure, it's actually adventure. Adventure just means you're a dude with a sword and you go on an adventure. And I call this one illustrated. Illustrated is my general graphics tag. This column is for graphics, just to clarify. People always ask me, are anime games still a thing? Or can I still make a Pixar game? And I do this because I like to just see like where's art going. Pixel art usually is third to fourth most common art style. And it's not that big of a problem that everybody thinks, and that's why I quantify this stuff. And Hyperlight Drifter, it is like, it's pink. And it just, that's what I call illustrated, basically. If it's a very stylized, like that hair goes up like this, but they're not anime. So anything that's like very art directed and it doesn't fall into a clear genre, I kind of call it illustrated. Because that was one of the first things about the original Hyperlight Drifter, the 2D version, is that it was just it was beautiful. Online co-op, single player. Yeah, I'm going to call this one co-op, yes. See, the other thing is a lot of people ask me, oh, is co-op still a thing? It is. So Hyperlight Drifter is yes on co-op, no on still having the demo out. I think, right? They did not have their demo out. Because this is a new thing that I'm tracking this year is how many of these hit games still have their demo out? It's not many. So that's why I'm doing this one. Okay, so let's go. And I think I know. I made a mistake where I jumped ahead and I put this tab. I'm trying to run like 3 things here, folks. Okay, so let's do this threefold recital. Let's do it. Threefold recital. We're looking at, it's kind of, is that pixel art or is it just faux pixel art? No, it's illustrated. So this would probably illustrated style. Let me see. Furry style, anime style. I'm going to call this anime. I know, because it's got stoodly jibbly vibes. I'm saying it in a real fandom for, yeah, this is anime style. I'm going to call this anime. Let's see, visual novel is what they're classifying it as. Drama, mystery, visual novel. This goes into narrative. Basically, you know, the strong point, look, you got a guy going like this, like nervous. That's anime right there. No, nobody but an anime that puts a hand on their head. Okay, so we got an anime. Three-quarter side is Oriental fantasy, where the metropolis of blue stones. Mix of that's short description does not help. Usually, if the short description doesn't help describe genre, it means it's a narrative game. But I'm not seeing like action. Like they're fighting anything, and I see dialogue windows. So I'm confident that this is gonna fall into the narrative bucket. So we're gonna go narrative on this narrative. We're gonna go anime style. I don't have one for furry, not because I'm against the furry community. I love you all, but it's just not that common of a genre, and it's usually paired with anime style. Not all the time. Not all the time. Sometimes it is. So co-op, no, was it? Was it co-op? I forget. No, I don't think it is. How could you co-op a narrative game? And demo was not live. Okay, let's do a loft. The next one. I think I played this demo back when it was in Next Fest a long time ago, so I'm pretty sure it's still this game. Yeah, it's open world survival craft. I called this is a illustrated style because it's stylized. See how it's stylized? It's not quite fantasy because there's no like, I don't know, it doesn't look fantasy. You got sheep. It's just kind of a blend of style. So I consider that. Let's see here if they do any. Let's see if they have their demo live. No demo live. Do they have co-op in this? Online co-op. There it is. So yes, co-op. Whoops. So let's go co-op. Yes. Demo live. No. Illustrated style. Open world survival craft. I call them survival. That's all I do. I call it survival for open world survival craft. Okay. The root trees are dead. I think I saw this game before. I thought it released last year. I've been watching this one. I think it was maybe they had a demo. It's kind of I think if it's puzzle game. Is it puzzle or is it narrative? That's the big question. I forget if it's puzzle or narrative. A genetic mystery straight out of the thing. What do? They call it puzzle. First tag is puzzle, so it's probably a puzzle mystery straight out of the 1998. I'm going to see, this is the hard part. This is where it's like some people are going to yell at me no matter which choice I make. I could see an argument for puzzle game, and I could also see narrative because it's kind of a narrative. Because you can't just have a straight up narrative. A lot of people, so they get self-conscious, so they make a lot of puzzles. This screenshot's making me think puzzle. Let me go down. This is what I typically, because I think Steam reviewers are actually very savvy. There's no demo. This is definitely an illustrated style, I'd say. Pretty much. Just because it's very painterly and stuff like that. Let's see. If Her Story and Return of the Obra Dinn had a baby, I'm feeling with a Her Story thing, it's kind of, I'm going narrative because the emphasis with when they say it's her story, yes, there were some puzzle elements, but it was like the narrative was the star. It wasn't like a Sakoban. Usually puzzle games I say are Sakoban. It's a wonderful game that scratches the itch. A few games the dev has called it Return of the Obra Dinn and Her Story as influencers. Yeah, everybody's saying that that's very true. Dedicated mystery game. See how people are calling deduction-based mystery game. I'm really feeling narrative here. I'm really, nothing is just spelled out. Scratching. I look for these things just for these clues about these demos. Well, let me see this guy. Oh, great. Way to go, God Spark, saying it's a puzzle game. Just threw off my thing. So good. You know, I'm going to figure out puzzle or how when cats are figuring out a puzzle are really excited to start wagging their tails like that. She said puzzle, but I don't know. This one's hard. So it's like Obra Dinn with a little Her Story. I'm going with... See, what I'm looking for is... See, nobody really talks about how perhaps research puzzle... Look, I think they're having the same problem I am. I wish there was more games like this. I suppose you'd call them research-based games or perhaps research puzzles. I'm going with narrative. I think it's a narrative game that's just a mystery. I think it's like a classic mystery novel. Like Sherlock Holmes is kind of like a puzzle, but it's narrative. See, this is, folks, there's going to be somebody yelling in the comments, no, Chris, it's actually a puzzle game. I'm going narrative with it because I really feel like the puzzles support the narrative. When I think puzzle games, it's a lot more like I wouldn't call Portal a puzzle game. Or no, I would call Portal a puzzle game with a very strong narrative. Because and it is illustrated, so I am calling that. There is no co-op and there's no demo live. Portal is a clear puzzle because it's like, here's level 1, here's a clear puzzle, solve this puzzle, and then you project to the next, you proceed to the next puzzle. That's what I think it is. Okay, this one's easy. It's racing, very clear. Way to go. I just want to see, is there a demo? It's a racing game. This is Assetto Corsaro. Is there co-op? That's the other thing I'm looking for. VR support. VR supported. Way to go. Single player. It looks like no co-op. It's not like you can race with your buddies. Let me just look at this tag here. Let me just look at the tags because sometimes they'll put in like co-op tag or something. Let's see here. No, not a tag. No that. Oops. There's the thing. And so we are gonna go racing. Racing is people always ask me about racing games. For some reason, people always ask, "Is racing a thing?" It is. Like here we are in the first 10 games, and I've already seen 2 racings. No, a racing and a sports. That's what I've seen. Hockey games and racing games very popular on Steam. Not super popular, but if you're going with Steam games, in this one I call realistic sim. Realistic sim is just like, what do you want from me? There's no stylistic. It looks like the thing in real life. It's not like, some of those illustrated games, they like round the corners or they make somebody's hair really big. It's like exaggerated cartoonish proportions, but it looks realistic, but it's not. Realistic sim is like simulation games, racing games where it just looks like real life. All right, that's our first 10. How are we doing on time? I think that was 20 minutes, so I'm going through these in about 2 minutes per. I'm going to try and get as many as I can get done in an hour. This is why this takes... I handcraft the genres, folks. It's taking me a little bit longer because I am doing this live. And so what I do is I just open these in new tabs. Here's how my process works. I just go into each one. I think I opened this one twice. We will find out. Wait, let's see. Did I open that one? Age of Water. Age of Water. We already did that one. We already did Puck. You know, the original Pac-Man was going to be called Puck-Man, but they found out kids could scratch the middle of the P and just have it be F-Man. Isn't that crazy? So they decided to call it Pac-Man because then if you just scratched off the P, it'd be Pac-Man, which isn't super dirty. Man, this is kind of hard. I'm telling you, folks, I'm looking off screen because this is where my computer is. That blank means that there was a porn game here that I had to move to a separate tab. I'm not deleting it. It's still going to end up in the count. I just had to move it. Typically, and I think this year is no different, it's about 10% of all games on Steam, pornography. 10%. People have kind of freak out. People are like, oh no, too much porn. It's about 10%. So let's see. Here's one. I don't think I filtered this one. I may not have filtered it because it turns out there was English version and enough English fans. Orcs just die. This is why. So part of the reason why I'm going through this, I do this is I like to just get a sense of what is Steam. In a lot of these games that we're going to find, you're like, what? This is a popular genre? This is how I first started seeing Vampire Survivors likes pop up. This is how I discovered that horror is like secretly super duper duper popular. It's just by brute force going through this. A lot of people do like, oh, I'm going to research genres. And then they just do some like spreadsheet math and stuff. No. To understand Steam and the genres, you need to go game by game by game, count the genres, and not just vibe it and say like, hey, I'm seeing a lot of this. I'm seeing a lot of like horror games or something. You go and you actually make this spreadsheet, and then you run a pivot table, and you find out how many are actually there. Or you could do count, but a pivot table makes a nice graph if you do it right. Or of the genre, and that's how I do my analysis. So it's time consuming, but hey, this is my job. This is why when you fund, if you buy one of my courses or something, you're funding me to do this all day. It takes me about 2 to 3 minutes per game. Okay. Jotun Slayer, Hordes of Hell. Boy, that's a hard one to say. Gripping, roguelike, Horde Survivor, action roguelike. There we go. Set in the dark resources in Norse mythology. Yeah, oh yeah. This is clearly Vampire Survivors-like. Okay, what I'm going to look is, do they still have the demo live? They do not. Do they have co-op? Probably. Single player. Ooh, they got through. More and more of these action roguelikes are becoming co-op. So we're going to do this. Let's go to Jort Slayer. Slay those Jorts. I know it's not Jort Slayer, but it looks like Jort Slayer from my bad eyesight. Jort Slayer. Let's slay those Jorts. So action roguelike. And it is what I call fantasy, which is Nords and swords with skulls on them and stuff. That's what icons saw. Consider that. No co-op, no demo live. Okay, let's go to the next one. Cyber Manhunt. Let me close this tab here. Okay, Cyber Manhunt 2, the world, the hacking simulator. Oh man, hacking simulators are cool. I've seen people like Steam and hacking simulators are pretty big. But look at this user interface. Here's the hard thing: is this they call it a hacking simulator, but it looks more narrative. I'm seeing a lot of narrative-ish stuff. Hacking, I know, story rich. That's a clear giveaway that it's a narrative game. Digital Realm mystery sequel to an award-winning narrative-driven hacking simulation puzzle game. I think this goes into the round trees thing where it's narrative with some puzzle elements. Okay, I'm gonna put my foot down and I'm gonna say this is narrative with a user interface. Did you see that user interface? Folks, if you're not good at art, hire a person to make you a cool looking interface and go with it. That's a very good, if you want to do a narrative game, like you're like, I have a strong narrative and it's going to be this epic story and you have to run around. It's going to be like Cyberpunk. You can, if you're just a starting dev, you just don't have the resources to do a full style game. Do one of these user interface games. They do much better. Tokyo Extreme Racer. Look at that. That is extreme. Look at that. He's got like snakes on his car. That is extreme Tokyo right there. Look at that. Extreme, purple on the ground, extreme. Okay, clearly racing game. Racing games are huge, folks. So this is an easy one. Get this done. Racing, realistic sim, realistic extreme sim. I should have a column whether it's extreme. Man, this is like retro throwback with the extreme. I'm just checking to see if it's co-op and if they have a demo. Single player. A lot of racing games without multiplayer, which is surprising, and they do pretty well. Man, 10,000. Was it free? No, this game did really well. Racing games, folks, do well. The trouble with racing games is that they are very, you have to have really good graphics, and I think they have to be very deep. I think it's a very interested fan base. They're just really hard to do. Okay, this one, let's see what it is. Streamer Life Simulator. It's kind of a joke game, but I call it simulation because, watch, let's look at this. It's got that thing. You like have to build up and build your stats and recreate. Don't even know what this is. Don't even know what that is. My clothes store. Okay, you have to look like a streamer. It's simulating a job, even though I think this is kind of a joke job. Not being a streamer, I'm literally streaming right now, folks. Streamer life. I mean, this isn't my source of income, but this is my life. So this game is really kind of like my life right now on YouTube. By the way, YouTube sucks, so be sure to join my mailing list. You saw how much that sucked. That's streamer life. You know what sucks? Being a streamer. So it's simulation, and I call this realistic sim because everybody looks like a mannequin. There's no real, like, strange art style. It's just like a lot of like asset packs, and I don't mean that pejoratively. Like a lot of the stuff like that broom, I could totally see going download broom pack from Unity Asset Store and throwing it up there. That's not a bad thing. That's a really good thing. But look at this. Who's talking about Streamer Life Simulator 2? But that thing has 4,000 reviews. This game kind of looks it's very specific, and it costs $10. There are genres that indie devs do not talk about that are amazingly popular. Oh, I just accidentally did shift up, which brings me all the way up. Jeez. Sometimes, folks, I think it's control up. Control up does it. Okay, so there are genres, folks. You're going to watch me do spreadsheets here. Whoops. Okay, there are genres on Steam that indie devs never make, or it's not like the cool kids make, that are amazingly popular, and until you dig down, you don't see these subcultures, okay? You just don't. Now, this next game, speaking of subcultures, I think it's Chinese only, and it just didn't get in my filters. Is it Chinese only? See, English not supported. I didn't filter this one out. I should have. I'm not going to... I mean, it's a narrative game, obviously, but the main reason, yes, narrative games do, but there's probably something very culturally specific, which is why you couldn't replicate this. So I'm just going to skip this game because I don't know how to do it. Space Engineers 2. Let's take a look at this one. Ultimate Space Sandbox. Crafty Buildy Simulation-y. Oh, I should have a column for that. I was going to do a column on Crafty Buildy. Let's start doing that. We're going to start doing it. This is why it takes me so long, folks. I get halfway through and I was like, oh yeah, I was going to start tracking whether this game's considered crafty building in my definition. I just need to find out if this is simulation. I'm pretty sure it's simulation or some other like RPG, but I'm seeing simulation here. I'm just trying to see if they're doing something else, like sandbox simulation. I'm 99% sure this is a simulation game. Let's just look at more games. I just want to double check. I didn't purchase yet. Highly suggest you read the description. Survival that's what I'm trying to find out. There's no survival multiplayer mode as of yet. I was trying to see if it's open world survival craft or simulation, and that's what I'm trying to figure out. It seems like it's very early access is what I'm looking at, and they're already selling DLC. But I know people complain, but it's actually doing. I think it feels like it's simulation with hopes of being survival-like, maybe. Exploring some new creative tools. I don't know. All right, love this game. Space Engineers, stunning visuals, fantastic audio. The building system does take a while to get used to, but it has a lot of potential to make a whole lot easier in the long run. I'm gonna go with simulation. I'm really feeling it. Let's see here. The screenshots aren't helping. Creation, design, and destruction never felt this good. They're not saying stuff like, I'm not seeing stuff where it's like, oh, survive as long as you can. It seems like it's really trying to simulate building a spaceship. It doesn't seem like you can starve. Like, you don't see a starving meter, although I don't know what this meter is. It looks like it's mostly like trying to build stuff. Either way, it's crafty buildy. It's crafty buildy up the wazoo. It's just whether it's that. So I'm gonna call it. Well, this is the one we're gonna scratch. So I'm just gonna put. Yep. I'm gonna say scratch. Scratch. I don't want to do this live where I move that to a different tab because that's a pain in the butt. So I'm gonna go with simulation. And this is a hard one. Is this considered sci-fi or realistic sim? I'm going to say sci-fi because that's my tag for if there's glowing lights on things and it's like a spaceship. That's sci-fi. If you want to be a designer, make a movie that's sci-fi, just put lights on things that aren't normally there. Remember like in Blade Runner when all the umbrellas had light tubes for the handle? Just put a light where not usually a light, instantly sci-fi. The people said not co-op yet. You saw that no multiplayer yet, and the demo was not live. So there we go. Let me just double check, make sure that the demo's not live. And then I'm gonna add that new column for crafty buildy because this game is crafty buildy. I like to just keep track. It's usually 50 to 75% of all games are crafty buildy. Crafty buildy. I wrote a blog post at howtomarketegame.com. English only. Let's see here. How many units? It's 1,700 reviews. A lot of reviews. What was I checking? Let's see if they had the demo. They do not. There's no demo. And crafty buildy. I'm just gonna go with this. Let's go here. Crafty. Crafty buildy is my catch-all genre for where it's just like a sandbox. It is crafty buildy. I'll go back and do those other ones. I want to keep going through these. Okay, Orcs Must Die. I know I played this game before. It is tower defense. People always ask me if tower defense is still a thing. It is, and it's fantasy because there's dragons in it. Looks like co-op. Let's check. I actually haven't played this version of Orcs Must Die, but I've played the other ones. But there's orcs and stuff, so it's definitely fantasy. And there's a head. Combines third-person combat with Diva's. I know it's action rogue. You're like, oh, is that an action adventure? No, because it's kind of there. I consider tower defense is crafty buildy because you're kind of like there's many ways to build the thing. What I'm trying to do is no demo. Okay. So, so no of that, no co-op. Oh, I didn't see it. If there was, and crafty building. Is there co-op? Now, let's see if there's co-op. Co-op, second tag. They know. See these type of games, they love co-op. So yes, co-op. All right. Tales of Iron and Whiskers. Let's close this tab here. I don't know if this is interesting for you folks. I wonder, like, a lot of the times I don't like to make these YouTubes because YouTube sucks, and you really should be working on your game. Like, this is not. Maybe if you're looking to pick your next game, it helps, but I don't know. Do people really want to watch this? I don't know. I never understand what people want. That's why I'm doing this. This is a test. I got 20 more minutes to go through these games. Okay, what do we got here? Let's see. I don't quite know what this game is. Let's see. Okay, Kingdom, Explore, Embark, sequel to the critically acclaimed. I don't know what Tales of Iron #1 is. Okay. Action RPG. Okay, dude with a sword game. Now, watch this. See this? See how it? Let me see if I can scroll. See how it says only 953. And you're like, Chris, you said games with 1,000 reviews. That's because a lot of reviews are in other languages, and Steam filters these. And so the reason I use VG Insights to filter because they compile all the reviews. And so these are only reviews in English. That's why this one does not say 1,000. So it's just barely 1,000. Okay. So let me see here. We got no demo live. I'm trying to see. I'm thinking the thing I'm trying to decide is this RPG or is this action adventure? I'm leaning towards action adventure, but let's see what the nerds say down here. I mean, the nice reviewers. Amazing game. Not as good as the first. Solid. Usually the bad people, the bad reviews say are where I check because they're like, they say it's this type of game, but it's not. It's a different type of game. And that's where you get the real thing. Let's see what this person says. I know it's an action RPG, but I'm trying to see, is it more an adventure game or an RPG? I'm leaning towards action just because it sounds like there's not as much. Like RPG, I really feel like stresses the character building and the stats and all that. XP, there's like no XP bar. It's not a bad game, but it's wasting my time unnecessarily because it's trying to Formula Monster Hunter. Oh, Monster Hunter. I'd say Monster Hunter is action game. Hunt monsters, get minimal amount of drops to create items. They require 10 times normal drop monster to create them. I'm gonna say action adventure. I know there's RPG elements, but every single game. This is where I'm gonna get comments down below. No, Chris is wrong. I'm gonna call this one fantasy, not illustrated. I know, but it's because there's so many swords. Illustrated is typically like they're trying to be capital A art illustrated. But you know what? If you say, "Oh, Chris, it's an RPG," you're right. I'm wrong. Okay, argument over. You're doing it. You're wrong. I mean, I'm wrong. You're right. I'm wrong. Okay. I mean, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful game. I'm just not saying it's not illustrated. See, action RPG just means, hey, we're not pure action. We're not like just bashing stuff. There's some depth. Get it? Tales of Iron. Tales. Cats and mice and stuff. Okay. What am I looking for? Co-op. Just thinking of co-op. Single player. Yeah, it's not co-op. Okay, and there's no demo. Okay, but this is the stuff I do. Co-op. No, I just copied it from the previous row. And it is not crafty building. I consider this narrative, but again, I'm just being generous to the non-crafty building. Let's see. All right, this is level 0 extraction, probably an extraction shooter because it's the extraction. Extraction shooter that has lots of negative reviews. It's immersive survival horror, plays in 5 mercenaries. This is multiplayer, online PvP. Let me tell you, folks, multiplayer games, even when they're hot, they get a very toxic community. If you don't like update it fast enough, or it turns out there's cheaters, it's very hard to make a multiplayer game, folks, where it's just like random online. I'm going to say online co-op, yes. I'm going to say... So what I do is I just have shooter. Because I know there's FPS and there's side run and gun shooters. I group them all in a shooter. I just do. That's just the genre. I did this like 2 years ago, and it just keeps it easier. And if it's multiplayer shooter, where it's like pure thing, but this is co-op, so I consider it just shooter. This is sci-fi and co-op, yes. Demo live, no. Crafty building, no. It's a shooter. Okay. Puzzle game. All right. Oh, that's puzzle game. That's the puzzle genre. I was just moving ahead. All right. Age of Water. This is looking very open world survival crafty. Let me just by the logo. Look, it's got a logo. Or let's see. It's online adventure game set on a post-apocalyptic. See, open world. They got the open world and crafting tag. Post-apocalyptic. It's basically water world. Okay. And what I want to do is online co-op. Yes. It's becoming a online co-op for these survival style games are becoming quite like you just have to have it. And no demo. Nobody's getting their demo up. So let's see. Wait. Did I skip one? Age of Water? I did skip one. Where's Age of Water? Oops. Where did Age of Water come from? Where did that come? That's not even on the list. Why do I have Age of Water? Where'd that come from? I mean, it does have 2000, but let me see. Water. What did I do? Oh, I may have copied and pasted something. Let me try this again. I may have misclicked and accidentally deleted something. So let me see what this is. Did that extraction shooter game? Yeah. And then this idle game. No, where did that water game? I'll have to solve this. I'm not going to solve this live. Let me tell you, it did get in there. Maybe I misclicked a tag somewhere and it brought me to there. It's really hard to host a stream and do spreadsheet work. It is also, I don't know why you're watching this stuff. This is so boring. This is not working on your game, by the way. So if you're like, oh yeah, I worked on my game because I watched an hour stream with Chris, let me tell you, that does not count. That's not working on your game. Okay? Because you know what? YouTube sucks. This is the reason I don't like YouTube is because it makes people think that they're doing work. Like, oh yeah, I was studying the market. I was watching Chris. This is not working on the game. This is just a fun diversion. If you really want to study for your game, sign up for this email. This is my howtomarketagame.com mailing list. You get a free book called 60 Mistakes You're Going to Make. And this is going to get compiled into a report. And it'll be a nice blog post that analyzes and groups all this together. I just thought this would, I don't know what people want anymore, so I just throw it at the wall. And I'm doing an hour's worth of spreadsheet work, and you're watching this. And people are like, oh yeah, I just use you I listen to you at the gym. Focus on the gains. The gains, not the games, okay? Like, get something with a beat to it to help you through that workout. Me slowly doing spreadsheet work is the opposite of what it takes to actually get through a workout, okay? This is the least interesting thing. So I've gone through 20 in about an hour. We're on the next 30. So let me see if I can do this. We got a few minutes left. Like, I have a little bit of time left. I'm going to see how many I can get through. I'm going to see how these metrics do. See how the metrics do on this thing. If the metrics aren't good and people aren't watching this, I can do this a lot faster by myself. And I'm just going to do it. Like, again, I want people to be actually working on their games and not watching YouTube. Okay, so that's why I don't really like doing this stuff, because I feel like I'm being a bad influence on people. Where it's like, don't do this. Okay, so, I'm still going to do this no matter what. It's whether I've got this camera relationship and posting this on YouTube. Okay, and again, this is good to, and all of you should be doing this stuff where you look at every game, because I find a lot of devs, notice we've gone through 20 games, we haven't seen a single platformer, like pure just 2D platformer. But the number of devs who make platformers as their first game is just through the roof, and it's because they just aren't aware of where the industry is moving and the types of games that Steam likes. And so that's what I'm doing here. Okay. All right. We're not going to start there. Well, I jumped ahead and I kind of did this. So we're at Rapuka's Idle Island. This is Idler. It's in the title. And it is, I'm going to call it a UI game. And it's technically, these are part of those like Rusty's Retirement, where it's an idle game that just sits on your desktop and doesn't take up the full screen. It's a cool genre. Very hot. This is how I see these things. That's where I see these trends, because I start going through this, like another one of these. So this is Idle. Idle games are so hot right now. Great first genres for first-time developers. And I'm going to call it a user interface game because graphics are, yes, they're illustrated. I would call them illustrated, but they're also built into the interface. Don't mention that down in the comments. Don't say, like, you're right. You're just right. I'm wrong. Okay? You're wrong. I mean, I'm wrong. You're right. Okay? No co-op. No demo, I don't think. Let me double check it. And it is crafty building because you're just collecting resources and spending them on stuff. So I think I got my order my tabs wrong, so I'm gonna have to go backwards to front on this thing. Did I? I think I did. I lost that game. I think I just closed the tab. Oh man. Okay, Rapukas. I'm just trying to see if they still have the demo, because the thing about crafty building games is you put that demo up. You can get away with having a demo up because it doesn't take away. So I try and see if how many people actually keep their demo up for these hit games. Okay. And they've got 1,400 reviews. Now, here's the thing: is 1,400 reviews is not enough. Why did I say? Yes, it is crafty. Okay. 1,000 reviews might not be enough to actually catapult you successful if you've got a big team or something. But what it is I've seen a lot of games that are well made by great designers, good graphics, all that, and they stall out around the 150 range up to about 400, up just about 400, and they stall out, and it's just because they didn't sell enough, and the Steam audience didn't show up, and they didn't like the game enough, and that's sad. It is hard to get to 1,000 reviews. To get to 1,000 reviews requires the algorithm to push you out of that rut. A lot of indies get stuck in the 100 to 300 reviews. Well-made games, but it's the genre is just not there, or the game isn't fun. It's not the right thing, and so that's why I study these games to see, like, well, what type of games is the audience actually getting? So it's horror, cooking. I know it's multiple things. Immersive sim, they always use that tag. It's wrong. They just use that for simulation. So I'm going to say horror. It's a horror game, and it's creepy. I call this. Now, it is kind of realistic sim graphics, but they're so dark and they're kind of stylized. Notice how it's kind of low poly almost. I'm going to call this grimdark because everything looks like it's shot through a beer bottle glass. It's like everything's like brown. So that to me is what I call grimdark, is if the color palette is like beer bottle and not a Heineken that's like green. In America has green bottles for Heineken, which makes the beer taste gross. Don't buy beer in green bottles. It makes it skunky. It's because of the light, apparently. Or that's probably an anachronism. It's not actually true. But anyway, horrors are huge, and so is grimdark. But anyway, dark and brown means grimdark. Co-op, is it co-op? I don't think so. But this is one of those games that are really stylish. And if you're like above horror games, you're like, too, make one of these stylish horror games that kind of have kind of a cool punk aesthetic, cool punk vibe, single player, no demo. Okay, no horror. I do not consider crafty buildy. It's actually a very linear thing. The Headliners. Okay, Headliner sounds like a movie about a bunch of comedians or something. But what is it? It is co-op horror game where you play in teams of one to 8. Easy. That's how I like my short descriptions. Tell me the answer. Tell me the genre right there. I can answer every question that I have real quick. Let me just. The only other thing I'm gonna do. I think it's low poly, just based off the capsule. I know it's got cyberpunk glowy stuff, but I'm calling this low poly. The reason I do low poly is I call that out is because it's a great, yeah, that's low poly. It's a great art style, and I'm trying to track it to see if that's becoming going away, like people are tired of it. That's why I track whether something's low poly. So this is horror, low poly, yes, co-op. Do they have the demo? Let me see. Demo. This seems like a game that would have its demo. Like the demo would stay up. No demo. No. Okay. Hello Kitty Island Adventure. This got wrapped up because I filtered by AA and Indie as defined by VG Insights. I'm actually going to skip this game, not because I don't like Hello Kitty, but I also take games out of my studies that have IP attached to them because I'm looking at genre and what types of games do well. And I feel like when you put a very famous IP like Hello Kitty, it automatically gives you 1,000 reviews. I mean, the game. I'm not trying to diminish the game. I'm just saying that that muddies the water, so I can't quite see whether it's the game genre and the style of game it is, or the IP doing that heavy lifting. Let me just double check just to see what genre it is. So I'm going to do it. Not that I don't love Hello Kitty. Again, I'm not saying this because I don't like Hello Kitty. It's just, again, I'm looking at genres that indies can actually make. And this is like cozy open world adventure. See, the thing is, it is kind of crafty building. It kind of feels like Animal Crossing. I'm just curious. Open world, simulation, adventure. It's crafty building. See, just because it's crafty building doesn't mean you can't be wholesome and cute. This game, actually, if it didn't have the license, it'd probably still do well because it looks like the right type of genre. It's adorable. But it's not. It's got that genre that the IP is lifting it. So I don't know. I kind of discount it. So we've definitely got a shooter, unparalleled. Starting with a verb clause there, or a noun clause there. Stealth and third-person combat. I'm just trying to see if it's multiplayer. Obviously, a shooter. Third-person war, hidden war from the front lines, deep. I think it's just a shooter. I think it's just straight-up shooter. Linear narrative. It's not like a multiplayer shooter. Online PvP. You can do PvP or co-op, which tells me there's like a narrative to it. It's not just like a multiplayer shooter. I don't think. And usually multiplayer shooters that get here, they have like 30,000 reviews. Let me just see if it's how much people are talking about the online stuff. Yeah, I think it's more narrative. It's not like a multiplayer shooter. Oh, sorry. See, this is boring for me to do too. I like if you're watching this, I don't know why you're watching this. Just read the report afterwards. Okay, just read the report. This is boring. I do this for a job. Like this is what I get paid to do by all of you wonderful people. I don't get funded by YouTube because YouTube sucks. People who get on YouTube, who get YouTube ad revenue, it's nothing. It's not worth your time. That's why YouTube sucks. But if you build your own website like howtomarketagame.com, you get funded by your readers, and that's what actually works. That's why blogs are cooler than YouTube. And this is what I just call realistic, because it's just like dudes that look like dudes. Okay. Co-op, yes. Demo live, no. Crafty building, no. I'm gonna try and knock through this stuff. I gotta go pretty soon here. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more I'm gonna do. Let's hammer through them. 10 minutes, I'm out. And went through already. I think this is not English. I don't think there's any English here. Not available in my language. I'm gonna skip that one. Does not apply. Fly Night. You looking Fly Night? Okay. Loot in this co-op mode. Old school first-person dungeon crawler. Earn your knighthood as you oppose the evil. What I'm trying to find out, Souls-like. I'm trying to figure out if I should call this a Souls-like. They said old school dungeon crawler, and Souls, maybe it's just because I'm old. That is not old school like Souls. Let's just see what, this is where I like to look at the reviews. During a second run, dressed as an onion. I'm trying to see the genre. Because Steam fans are very good at picking apart the genre. Say, this is not this type of game. This is this type of game. I'm trying to see if Souls-like, I do have a Souls-like tag, or is it action adventure, or is it RPG? That's what I'm mentally trying to decide what this game is. Really fun little game. Didn't tire of making everything a roguelike and just stick to being a short, handcrafted experience. See, it's not a roguelike. I'm trying to see if it's Souls-like. You can see if it's there. I think it's action adventure. I'm thinking action adventure based on this. Because see how they said handcrafted experience? I'm thinking Souls-like. Okay, let's see. Sometimes these people that do these like templated reviews like this usually have a genre tag. Multiplayer. Multiplayer is not required to reach 100%. It does have co-op. Puzzle combat. Okay. I'm thinking it's not Souls-like. I'm gonna go with action adventure. Let me look at this templated review. See how it says lackluster boss fights? That makes me feel like it's not a Souls-like, because Souls-likes are all about those bosses. See, and it rewards you for exploration. I'm gonna say action. I'm just gonna do it. Oh, see, they say first person. The idea of a first-person RPG. That's telling me this is not a Souls-like. Okay, so I'm just gonna put my foot down. This is a Souls-like. No, I'm gonna say adventure. Sorry, I was saying not there. So I'm gonna say action adventure. Basically, like I said, you're a dude with a sword going around and looking at stuff, and it's stylized. So it's illustrated, so I call it illustrated. Co-op, yes, and as that review said, it's not required. No demo, no crafty. Okay, this looks like a game that might not have English version. Oh, Citizen Sleeper? Did I? Where am I? Where am I? Oh, that's the one I skipped. Okay, sorry. That's the one I've got to flag for later. I'm just going to turn it red because I got to move this between tabs, and it's going to be the nastiest, gnarliest thing, and I can't do this live on stream. It's just going to blow my mind. So I'm just marking it red so that I know to take care of this later. And I'm just going to get rid of this and say adventure. And I know what I did. You in the comments that are probably coming, oh, you changed this. It's not live. It's pre-recorded. I already fixed this in the future. It's not adventure. This is a shooter. Oh, and you know what I did? Hello Kitty messed me up. That's why I started marking everything red. I know. See, this is why I'm not sure if I want to do this. Because people watching somebody else work a spreadsheet is like, it's so maddening. People are just going to comment, oh, Chris, you made Hello Kitty a shooter. I'm going to make a Hello Kitty shooter. I know that joke's made. It's not funny, all right? I mean, you can make fun of me. I don't care. But people, anytime I mention a genre, I say, hey, horror is popular and rhythm games are popular. Not really. But horror games popular, rhythm's popular. People go, oh, I'm going to make a horror rhythm game. That joke is made every time I talk about two popular genres that aren't connected. Here's the thing, folks. Don't do that. Because people like everything about a horror game, or they like everything about Souls-like or something. When you start to mix those together, then you actually alienate both audiences. And so just stop making that joke. I know you're joking and you're not really going to make it. But every single time I make a joke about, or I don't even joke, I just say, here's this genre, and this genre are popular. There's always a dude in the comments who goes, I'm going to make a combination, this genre. No, it's not funny. What's funny? I'm sorry, dude, but it's just not funny. Man, I already closed Fly Night. I should have turned Hello Kitty red. Hello Kitty messed me up, and I even was praising Hello Kitty. Okay, I just need to say, that's the one, online co-op. Was it co-op? Yeah, online co-op, which is not necessary for achievements. I remember that guy who made that comment. So yes, Fly Night is this. Yeah, no demo, not crafty building. Okay, let's do Citizen Sleeper. I know this game it's a narrative game. Oops, I think I accidentally closed that tab. Citizen Sleeper, there we go. It's dice-driven RPG. This one sounds like actually an RPG. I'm gonna actually call this one an RPG. We haven't had that much of an RPG. It's whether this is narrative or RPG, and the fact that they said narrative or dice-driven RPG, it's almost narrative. I don't know. See how they put story rich? Let's see what the nerds say, the reviewers. If they say RPG or narrative, writing. See, when this person says beautiful writing is always. See, light RPG mechanics. I'm going to go with RPG. See how they say light RPG mechanics? This is the hard thing about RPGs. A lot of them are narrative. But the reason I stick with the narrative is because usually there's not... Narrative games like visual novels and stuff don't typically have deep, rich, experience and points, and you're upgrading stuff and all that kind of stuff. It's very light on game mechanics, but the narrative is there. It's deep in branching paths. So I'm going to call this one an RPG. If you comment down below and you're like, it's not, it's actually this. You're right. You're absolutely right. So I'm going to say RPG. Illustrated, definitely illustrated. even though it's set in space, I feel like it's illustrated. I call it illustrated because it has arbitrary color use, that kind of stuff. Co-op, no. Demo live, no. Crafty building, no. Okay, Rift of the Necro Dancer. I know this game. I just want to see if there's anything else. It's obviously rhythm. Oh, look, they get their demo up. First game out of the demo up. Okay, I've seen enough. I know what this is. Okay. Rhythm. Illustrated. Yes, I consider this illustrated. Co-op. No, is it? Single player. Yeah. Demo live is yes. Crafty, no. Okay. Keep driving is the next one. This is one of my. I played the demo for this game. I haven't played the full game. This is crafty building, but it's narrative. And for all those people out there who, when I'm like, crafty building games are very popular on Steam, and too many people are making non-crafty building games, and I think it's hurting them. And that people will leave in the comments like, oh, but I want to tell a story. I want to be artistic. I don't like crafty building because it's not artistic. This game took crafty buildy style things and they merged it with like cool narrative. It doesn't have to be this thing, like it's a story about being a teenager and not having money and a broken down car and just going on road trips, and it's got these vibes. And I find too many developers who are really into the vibes of stuff, who are like, man, I just want to be like an artist. They always default to making puzzle games, and puzzle games never sell well. They make a platformer or a puzzle game or a Metroidvania, and those just don't sell as well. I've already gone through, folks, we're almost done with 30 games, and we haven't seen a single Metroidvania or a single platformer, just like a pure platformer. Those games just don't sell. But these type of games where it's like this kind of crafty inventory, these are the games that are selling now. And these, if you've got like a narrative voice in your bones, look at games like this. This is the future of indie games. This kind of keep driving. They took the basic gameplay structure that's typically a game about like orcs or something, like being a knight. And they said, let's strip all that orcs and being a knight stuff, and let's put a real human narrative on this with cool art. And when you play, it plays like cool like punk music and stuff. You can be artistically like relevant and still make a crafty building game. And this Keep Driving is, and it's doing so well. This is doing very well. 2,000 reviews. Play this game. If you're like, Chris, I don't like crafty building. I'm going to make it. I'm an artist. I want to bring my true. This is cool. This is cool. This is what, if you're like, I have a vibe, but I don't know if I should do a puzzle game or a platformer. No, do this. Okay. Play this game. Play this game. This game's cool. This game is what more indies who kind of have an artistic bent should be doing. So it's kind of a roguelike. And that's what's so weird. It is purely like a rogue. I'm just going to call it a roguelike because there's runs and it's random. Stuff happens. There's events. It's cool. Oh, I did the wrong one. I did the right thing. And I consider it illustrated because it has this cool art style. I know it's pixel art, but it's like a cool pixel art. It kind of looks like they digitized photos to make the pixel art. And pixel art is usually cartoony, so I'm going to call it illustrated. I know if you disagree with me down below, you're right. I'm wrong. Okay, no co-op. Let me look to see if they still have their demo. This is a game that I could see keeping their demo up. They did not. Okay, no demo. Crafty buildy, yes. Okay, and that concludes. We're going to continue on doing this. I'm going to upload this as it is. It took me an hour to get through this. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Now, if you, let me do this thing. I might do this again. I got to see how many views do it. It seems really boring. And I don't know if I want to keep doing this. So if you want to keep doing it, don't comment below because YouTube sucks. Email me. And the way you email me is I am chriszukowski@gmail.com, or join my mailing list and just reply to my mailing list. Howtomarketagame.com/free, where you get a free book When you subscribe on YouTube, you don't get shit. But here, you get a book. All right? That's why YouTube sucks and mailing lists are cool, kids. So do that. I'm just going to see how this does. I'm studying the market to see what is actually selling. What are the types of games? What are the weird stuff that nobody's talking about, but that secretly is selling super well, doing very well? That's what I'm here for. So that's that. See you later. YouTube sucks. See you later. Bye.